This is George Osagueda, and my specialized assessment is 2.5D animation. Most of my specialized assessment was focused on finding different ways of using 2D images for integration into 3D pictures, which was called 2.5D. I chose to do this for two reasons. First, my 2D skills are something I am good at, so incorporating it into current production pipelines was a big goal of mine. The second reason I chose this field was because I wanted to see how a matte painting was done in today's industry and how it has been used in the industry today. Reading up on 2.5D animation, matte painting was the first field I researched. It revealed different methods of use. One was by adding parallax motion to a picture with the use of software which gave the photo or the image the illusion of 3D depth, but was actually a still image being fully manipulated to look like a seamless visual shot. This method has come to be popularized now and has been labeled the parallax effect, and is mostly used on single shot photos or pictures. After Effects and Cinema 4D were among the most popular and frequently mentioned used tools for this effect, so in the future I expect myself to study this method in more detail. It involves separating the image into different layers of elements which can then be moved individually at differing speeds. The only drawback with this technique is that the range of camera motion is quite limited to the perspective of the image you're working with. Further tools which can be used for this effect involve adding bones to a character, which can then help to be moved in a realistic motion. After reading up on matte painting, it consequently led me to another method, which was 3D matte painting projections, which was fascinating to study. Essentially, it was similar to a standard projection, with the exception being it's digital and the scene has to be modeled to a certain extent so that some of the projections can show up. This method of 2.5D style animation is being used a lot more now because it allows more freedom of camera angles and lighting without having to redo a matte painting. It also does involve more work, but the results are very, very good. As I kept researching, I found out most of the 2.5D market is focused on games like one-on-one fighting games, side-scrollers, adventure games, and it has also found a home in short films and the music video industry, and has another big market in the Japanese anime industry. Further research of 2.5D led to a software called Live 2D, which has been around for the last 7 years, which is specifically aimed at the anime style. It renders out on the fly through the use of vector-based images and is able to fully animate a character at real speed. This software is now being used a lot by anime production studios in Japan, but it has now branched off into the virtual reality industry. This type of 2.5D animation has also been used for mobile devices and apps in Japan.
The first thing you need is original raster image, whether it's painting or illustration. And you use Photoshop to set it up as a texture file for modeling. Now it's ready for Cubism Editor. I just loaded a texture file onto the modeler tool. And I'm mapping polygons on each object for deformation, like this. When placing objects on a canvas, make sure to use a guide image in the background so you can place the objects in exactly right positions. After the objects are placed, you start deforming them using deformers. Deformation you make can be saved and controlled by assigning a motion parameter to it. Motion parameters will later be used to animate the model. These are parameters for turning the head on a vertical axis and horizontal axis. And this one is for left eye, one end being fully open and the other fully shut. and another parameter for the arch for expression of the eyebrow. Now I come into the animator tool. I just loaded the model which I just built. Notice that every time I control a motion parameter, a keyframe is created on a timeline, and in-betweens are automatically generated. You can also load an audio file for automatic lip sync. Animation can be output as a movie file or image sequence. You can also write motion data which you can use to control the model real time on an interactive media like games and apps.